the Pirate Hunter, and this is an in-box kit review of one of 4 model kits I have set here. Well, 5, including the Jeep. But what this one is about is Coen C and I were discussing about modeling techniques. What brought it up was he is doing a Challenger 3 tank, I believe. And it's an old TALLY, and it says to hold the wheels on, you take and heat a screwdriver and melt the ends of the axles. Well, that's how you did it. When you built model kits, these kits are all from, I believe, about 1955, including the one in 2 boxes back there. That's how you did things like that. You built these things with the regular Revell cement. You didn't have super glue in them days, didn't exist. To me, a putty or perfect plastic putty didn't exist. Airbrushes didn't exist. The big paint guns did, because my dad was a painter. But you're not going to paint something this size with a regular DeVille or Binks spray gun. So I told Coen I had these, and he's interested in the progression of model kits. So I'm going to do 3 of these. And I'm going to do them one at a time and post the 3 separate videos so you don't have to listen to me or fast forward through to get to whichever one you want to look at and review or watch. First one I'm going to do on this video, I have 3 of them here. Number 1, the first one I'm going to do is the TALLY Hole Coach. It's a Revell Authentic kit, all plastic, quick and easy to build, a miniature masterpiece with 4 horses and 10 figures. The next video I will do will be the Medicine Wagon, another miniature masterpiece with 2 horses and 7 figures. Now this one says Western figure set, and it's not. It is from what I can tell in here, it's a chuck wagon kit. So I'll do that one also. Now setting in them 2 brown boxes there is another kit that I'll do a review on that also. So let's start on the TALLY Hole Coach, and we'll go from there. The box art's pretty neat on it. You got to remember, this kit, I believe, is from 1955. So it's pretty good box art on it. The end of the box shows TALLY Hole Coach, Type A cement, H51398. Okay, now from what I've done on my research, and I can find out, the kit numbers were always H513, and the dash number on it, the 98, was what it cost, 98 cents. Now, when I was buying these kits in 1955 and 56, my parents didn't hand out the money for me just to go buy a kit. I had to earn it. Well, I worked for my grandfather, and I worked for my parents to get this money. My grandfather said, okay, if you want to earn money for kits, because he built these, and I have some over here behind me in my stash that he built that just kind of got tossed around and threw in plastic bags in this after he died and people moved in this, that I've got to restore, and I'll do some restoration videos on restoring them. So what I did is he was gathering up lumber. You got to remember, this was only 10 years after the end of World War II. He had me take and beat nails out of boards and straighten them for a penny each. Do you know how many nails it takes to bend out, beat out, and straighten to get 98 cents? 98 of them. Plus you got to figure tax. Plus my parents figured that I could pull weeds. For every big clump of weeds I pulled, I got 1 cent. I pulled an awful lot of weeds and beat a lot of nails to build model kits. On the side, it has another kit, H706, which is a water wagon. And this one right here is the first model kit I can ever remember building, is H215 F-84 Thunderstreak, and that was given to me as a gift. I don't remember if it was for my birthday or if it was for Christmas, but that's the first one I can remember really building. I probably built before that, but that's the first one. H216, which is a B-25 Mitchell, H71 1929 Bentley, Revell's model masterpiece, Venice, California. Same end piece as the box top. I'm out in where I'm moving my modeling out to. So lighting's kind of poor because I've just got lighting hung in here. I've got all of my 110 volt run in. I've started gathering all my insulation up and my drywall in this. I've got my heater lined up and all this, so lighting is kind of poor out here on this. But the major remodeling projects in the house, I'm not competing with hammer drills and saws and contractor and pipe. So we're out here doing this. This side is H510 Ranch Wagon, H213 Skyrocket, the H207 Aircraft Carrier, or H307, I got my trifocals on, and H416, the Charles W. Morgan. Okay? Open the box up. It's not a very big box. It doesn't call a scale out on this. But I've got my ruler here, so we'll just see if we can do some figuring here. Now, as you can see, these directions are really old. They are kind of yellowed in color on it, and they're falling apart, actually. And it's a very simple instruction sheet. It's an instruction sheet on the front, and on the back is a advertisement for Revell models. We'll get to that in a minute. So, and the plastic is all falling apart on this, so we'll go through this and see what we can figure out on some of this. This looks like carriage lamps on it and bracketry of some kind. I don't know. I think that could be a wagon tongue there on it. A horse. It's a headless horse, of course. My boss, never mind what my boss used to look like. So, and it's a two-piece horse here on it. And there's a pretty good amount of detail on this. There really is. The mane has a pretty good amount. The tail does. It's got the blinders on it. There's a little bit of flash on it, but less flash than I've seen on modern kits. The bridles and harness and tack are all raised on it. It's it's a gray plastic. It's fairly thick, heavy plastic. It's why I said the plastic's falling apart on this just right now. So, and there is a decal sheet here, but let's see what that does. So this is just kind of how this stuff kind of comes. And this is the one side of the coach. It's got a pretty good amount of detail. I apologize for the lights and the quality of this because trying to get moved out here. And it's got on it, it says London to Birmingham. So apparently that was the stage route, the coach run. So it's pretty good. It's not too bad. There's some flash on it, not like compared to some of the modern kits. This is apparently where the driver and either on a stagecoach in the 1800s in the U.S. would have been the guard would have sat there. It's got pretty good detail on it, and actually it's got, I don't know if it's just the way the plastic is or what, but looks almost like wood grain on it. Here is another horsey on it. And I said, you can really, the muscle detail, I don't know if you can see the muscle detail on this. That might be a little bit of a sink mark, but the only ejection pin marks are on the inside. That's number 2 left. The ears are on it, and on these, the manes, a little bit of flash. The manes and tails are, this is number 1 left. Number 2 right. So that snaps together like that. I don't know if the horsey's got a tail loose in here somewhere, something. So that snaps together on it. Lines, there's a little bit of line on it, and a little bit of sink mark on it. But not too bad for a kit from 1955. It's better than some of the modern kits I've seen lately. And this is part of the carriage assembly on it here. And got a pretty good, I said, pretty good amount of detail on it. Fairly crisp. Not a lot of flash, a little bit. Here's some more. I don't know, I'll have to look at things. It's got handles and things like that to hold on to, some kind of bracketry. Looks like that's a footstep right there, and the other one is laying right here. Apparently has come off of the sprue. Considering as old as this kit is, it's pretty good on it, really. This is another part of the coach. I don't know what it is. A little bit. That's got, looks like, I don't know if that's springs, representation of springs or something like that on it. Looks pretty good, really. This is, okay, here's 3 of the figures. And the detail on their faces. Said I do this with my tab too. If I would get the camera going and out Smart Ed, I could zoom in and show you a lot more detail. But if you look at the detail on this, there's really a pretty good amount of detail on their faces. On their backs, this is where they're setting into the seat. So, but you look at this, dude's got a pretty good set of mutton chops, man. I'm kind of impressed. They look really good on that. But even the woman has got some really good detail. Down on the hand, the fingers aren't separated apart. They are a little bit on this one, on this hand. Of course, I don't know if she's got a mitten on or something like that. Here's another set of, looks like British soldier on it. You can see the braid across the top of his cover, military cover. Civilians wear hats. A little bit of flash on it. The detail on the faces on these are pretty good. And on the clothing and on the blanket around them, looks pretty good. And actually, this one, you can see the blanket and that from behind on it. So I guess, I don't know if this is, that's flash that's going to have to be trimmed off. So I'm guessing you'll be able to see behind him on that seat. This is one of the seats on it. And you can see where, like I said, the boards on it, the lines between the boards on that, it's separated. A little bit of sink mark, not sink mark, a little bit of ejection pin marks on it. Here's the other half of the coach that has London to Birmingham, with the steps going up and the decorations on the side. Plastic is, pretty good. There's not what I'd call a lot of flash or sink marks on it. It's not very big, if you look at it. I have The Longest Day playing behind me, so I can try to get myself motivated enough to get going on one of my group builds. But with everything else going on, it's been a little tough. So, it lines up fairly decent, but, what do you expect from a kit? There is flash on it and a little bit of fit issues, but I don't know without looking at it. I'm guessing where those pins are right there is there's supposed to be a gap right there for the seats to go on or something like that. So, but it's not too bad. Not too bad of fit issues on it. No, it's, like I said, a lot of this isn't as bad as some of the newer kits that we're spending 100 times that on some of it. Some of these kits, 150 times this, 50 times the price of this kit. This is stowage of things. You can see the buckle on it right there, and these other buckles where it's been tied on there. It's got fairly good detail and wrinkling on it. Looks, pretty good, like, a tarp or canvas or something that has been put over top of clothing. Another part of a horsey. And, hey, it's my horse. I can call it horsey if I want. So, another part of a horse here on it. And the detail really on the horse collar and on the rest of the gear is pretty good. I say there's a little bit of flash, and the detail on the ears are good. The blinders are good on it. Another part of a horse, and some kind of base. Oh, I know what this is. Okay, we'll get into that in a minute here. We'll set that aside. Okay, so here's the wheels on it, the wagon wheels. They look pretty good. They really do. The spokes are crisp. The attach points are on the outside of it, or instead of attached off a spoke or something like that. So they all look fairly good on it, fairly decent on it. Okay, now here's my standing character. And he's got a woman with him there. It's got some flash on it. He's blowing the trumpet to announce their arrival, I would guess. And if I remember right, that's how they did it. But the detail on his boots are pretty good. You can see the wrinkles on them where his coat or overcoat is blowing backwards like in the wind. The blanket over her lap is kind of wrinkled, like, you know, it would be. The detail on his face is pretty good. Well, let's measure this guy here and see what we got. Now we got our handy-dandy ruler here, and it shows that to his head he is 1 and 16/32 to about the top of his head. So 32/48. If you go 30 seconds, he would be 48 inches tall. So I'll have to figure it out from there on that. 35ths, 1/35th, he'd be, I said, yeah, it goes about 16/32. So I'm guessing this is someplace in the, I don't know, I'll sit down and figure it out. If any of you guys want to figure it out for me and let me know, I'd appreciate it greatly. Well, I said he figures to just about 1 and a little bigger, 1 and maybe to the top of his hat. We'll go to the top of his hat is about 1 and 24/32. So I'll have to sit down and figure it out. If one of you guys want to figure it out, I'd appreciate it greatly, because the Marine Corps only taught me count to 4, and higher mathematics make my head hurt. So we have some other characters here, figures, and the inside of the cap is hat is open. His stovepipe hat is open, and it's kind of wrinkled and smashed and things like that. And the cloak on this is got the detail. Even the clothing's got some pretty good detail where it's wrinkled in this. And down on her, it has got, looks like a little child setting right here that she's got her head leaning on. The edge of the bonnet's pretty good. The detail on his face is really pretty sharp for the size. I'm guessing this is really pretty good. And the cloak on it, the way the wrinkling is on this, the wrinkling on the boots, added out. No, there's not. I was looking if they had buckles on them, but I can't really tell on it. Okay, another part of a horse. Another part of a seat down there, and it's a little kind of bubbled there, but I think, all things considered, it looks pretty good. It really does on this. There's not really what I call a lot of flash. No real ejection pin marks. Another piece of, this is part of your, looks like a broken part here somewhere. Might have to build a piece. It looks like a broken, this is for your drawbar to hook your teams up on. And there should be another piece of this off the side of this, which I'll just, if it's not in the bag here, or I don't see it laying here, unless, no, that's not it. That's not it. I don't know what that is. If it is, I'll just have to get me a little piece of sprue and stretch it and make me a piece to go on there to attach it with. Another part of this could be another part drawbar for the carriage on it, with the eye on it, all the raised detail on it. And the raised detail on the bottom. No real ejection pin marks. There's a little bit of sink, but nothing major. This is the front axle. I'm guessing this would be your front axle on it. The way it is set, or one of the axles. I'm guessing the front axle, that this probably fits into this. Now, my grandfather might have opened this kit. I don't know. He's the one that was really into building these things like this because he had been a real cowboy. He was born in the 1800s and grew up as a cowboy. So did my dad. My dad was a real cowboy. Not like a lot of the ones they have now with a $54,000 four-wheel drive and a hat that looks like it had a high-speed crash with a hummingbird and a great big giant belt buckle. And or am I talking about a truck driver? I don't know. Either one. So, no, they were both real cowboys, and I was raised like a real cowboy was. So here is some more stuff. We're missing some, I'm guessing he probably has been into this, because this is the caps for the axles on this. So can I get another one? I probably could find a kit off eBay to get it, but I don't think I will. So I'm guessing he was probably looking at this kit or got into this kit because there's stuff missing off the sprues. Is this something that I could make out of a piece of sprue to make it look decent? Yeah, make it look fairly decent on it. Just do it James Duvall style, like he's prop, and put it in a drill and turn it on, but probably at a low speed. And so, yeah, I could probably make one of these if I have to, which I'm going to have to, obviously. Another couple of seats here. Another couple of seats, like, about like the others, not too bad on it. The raised bracketry for where the back of the seats mount, the individual things on it. Piece of something. Probably something looks like part of a suspension. Oh, I know what this is. This is the high-tech braking system, which is one step above the Flintstones, dragging your feet on the ground. This is your braking bar on it. This is where you watch them in all the movies, and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, where they've got the wooden pads, the wooden blocks that go against the wheels. This is how you did it. You reached up with your foot and pushed against the lever to go against this. Now, I've drove 2 and 4 up teams with old wagons, so I know how this works. Do I want to go back trying to do that again? No, I'll stick with Harley-Davidson based choppers. It's a lot easier. They're not as hard-headed as some horses. So that's what that is. This is an end piece of one of the boxes or the coach or something like that. Little bit of flash right there, things like that. What this is, and what this is the base for the coach to set on. Coach and the horses. You would set it up on usually a little block or something like that. Like I said, my grandfather might have started on this, I don't know. And you set this on there, then you would set the wagon on this. I will show you on some of the ones that I'm going to redo that were built that have come apart or come off there. Let's give a look at the directions here. Very simple, one page on this direction. I won't go through the whole thing of reading this. Just as early 1800s in England have been called the golden age of coaching, and on this, travel in England during this period was far from the leisurely affair that one might imagine it to be. A trip from London to Exeter, a distance of 170 miles, could be achieved in about 17 and a half hours. This represented an average speed of about 10 miles per hour. Wow! Speeds up to 12 miles per hour have been recorded. Okay. Well, I'm not going to go into through reading this. But see, this, okay, here's your assembly on your horses here on it. And you see the horses set on the base, each base here. This is the attachment. Yeah, see, there's where the tree goes right there, and the end pieces broke off the tree. That goes here. All your traces go, not traces, but all your harnesses go unhooked to your tree here, which goes into here. This goes in and hooks into your steering axle on your coach with this, where this portion go in. Then this attaches as your pivot point that goes, this is your frame on your coach right here. This is what your coach, the main part of the frame that attached it to the back axle on this. And you can see where these end caps go, that I'm missing one of them on it. Very simple. There's the steps that go on it. Here is the assembly of where the top of the coach, this step 1, step 2, step 3. Very simple. Assemble all of the parts on the coach, put all your people in it. Very little color call out on this. It calls this out as red right here, and a lot of them were highly painted. It was called red. The edge of the rim is silver, the spokes are red, and the end cap, the hubcap, the cap for the end of the axle was painted red. Coach lamp painted black. Some of these footrests, something like this, is red. Calls that yellow. Black and gold on the steps for the coach, and something else, look like the framework around that. Goes through, tells you exactly how to assemble this. As far as any color call-outs on the clothing, I guess you basically would base it off of what you have here on this. This is a pretty good, gives you a pretty good color call. It gives you a color call out on it. And you can base your coloring and your painting off of this. And the people that paid the most amount of money got to ride inside. The less money you paid, you got to ride outside on it. And it's, like I said, pretty good. To rein your model, use dark brown or black thread. The box illustration will help you to rein the horses properly. Use a glued piece of string and shape it to look like a whip and cement it to the driver's right hand. Copyright 1955 by Miniature Masterpieces Incorporated, H513, Litho in USA. It gives a pretty good amount of detail on this. This, I understand, would be very good for ISM has a civilian road vehicle build going on right now. And if I had time, I know it's a 6-month build with everything that I've got going on, I would love to do this for it, because it's something that nobody else is going to put one of them in. I'm pretty sure they're not. They might get one off eBay. They're not. They're a little expensive, but not bad. And on the back, here was my kid. Here was a wish list when you were a kid. Trust me. I mean, you got torpedo boat, 89 cents on it. Wow. Chris Craft luxury cabin cruiser, 89 cents. H301 battleship USS Missouri, $1.98. That's a lot of weed pulling, kids, to get that done. USS Sullivan's destroyer, $1.29. Aircraft carrier Franklin Delano Roosevelt, $2.49. Now that was a really spendy kit back then. I don't know what my dad made, but I don't think it was a lot of money. And so I had to earn all my own money to do this. USS Los Angeles, $1.69. And these, I did some of these, and you got Highway Pioneers, cars. They did famous firearms, the firefighters, and these gift kits. I mean, Highway Pioneers, that includes, and it gives you the kit number. H46, H52, H53, H54, H55, H56. Plus paint, brush, and cement. $4.95. Man, that's a pretty good amount of money. Plane set, Bomber Command, Admiral's Fleet set, Miniature Masterpieces set, U.S. Fighters and Bombers. Here's the miniature masterpieces set. Sailing vessels. I mean, the sailing vessels doesn't really give any price on them. Or you got the, well, let's see, ships only with full hull and pedestal base are 79 cents. So, you know, the kits were cheap back then. But you've got to get away from the mindset of 2014 where people are making large amounts of dollars. People didn't make large amounts of dollars back then on it. So here it is. Here is my inbox kit review as Coen requested. Coen C and I kind of requested it on this, and I thought, you know, I've been going to do it, and so I decided to finally go ahead and do it. Because and I discussed this also with Ion 757, I believe. If it was somebody else, I apologize for that. But we discussed building model kits out of the 1950s. And this was, you built these things, you had the bottle of enamel paints, paint brushes, you had a knife to trim flash, a pocket knife. Everything was hand painted with brush on it. So it was a fun time to build them. The glue was the regular glue, no Tamiya extra thin, no super glues, no resin kits. The only kind of brass was what you seen on an officer's uniform, or if my dad had been out hunting rabbits or deer or something like that and brought me back some empty shell casing to play with. Or I went to Smith & Edwards where I did the review of the Sherman tank up there, and you could find empty shell casings there of 20 millimeter, 50 cal, 105s. It was kind of a neat time. So there we are. If anybody wants to figure that out on how tall that character is and the scale on this, please leave it in the comments. So, and this one I need to get done. If I have a chance, I will do this for the ISM build. The next one I'm going to do is going to be the medicine wagon. I'll do that on a different video. That'll give me a chance to get this edited and downloaded. So if you're only interested in either a tally ho coach or the medicine wagon or the chuck wagon, you have time to go through and just look at each separate one. This one in the boxes, I'll do that one tomorrow maybe, or the next day. That's an interesting one. So, as always, go to ISM, International Scale Modelers. Very good website. Also, you will find out a lot of the people on YouTube are very good to deal with. You can ask questions too. They have some very, very good tutorials on there on painting, weathering, and everything else. To quote the great Jerry Springer, take care of yourself and each other. This is the Pirate Hunter.